Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hello, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Farscape Season 1, Episode 18, A Bug's Life. The crew of Moya play a game of Secret Hitler. Really.
That's not accurate.
It's fairly accurate.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, how did you find this one?
I thought it was pretty good.
That's the right answer?
I have some big problems with it, but overall, I liked it.
I took so many notes during this one. I thought there were loads of random, the plot holes, and there were niggles and all sorts. But yeah, I did like the episode. It was good fun. Quite exciting. So why don't you just start off by ripping a hole into the episode? On you go.
Okay. This is the first time in an episode I've noticed either a crew member or part of the crew. There's a scene, and it's when she's talking about, she as in one of the peacekeepers, herbs and spices. The boom mic dips into the shot.
Oh,
I don't even look for this stuff, but I saw it plainly here.
You've been noticing stuff on the edge of the frame for ages now.
I have?
Yeah, you pointed it out in the last episode.
Well, whatever. It's the first time I've spotted a boom mic. But moving on to actual gripes about the episode. I mean, if that happened in a great episode, I wouldn't care, really. I don't understand why the virus had to jump hosts over and over. Did they explain this? I didn't understand that.
So it didn't get caught.
But why not just go to one host and then do what you need to do?
Well, when it was in China, it needed to wait an hour. See, I think this is the problem. The timescales are all wrong. 1 hour is way too easy.
Wait, what was 1 hour? I forgot.
After an hour, or after an hour, it would multiply to millions of viruses all of a sudden. So until that hour was up, it was jumping from host to host to try not to get caught.
I don't see how that helps if you're not discovered, because you can't return to a host. So the virus was using up available hosts. See, I don't get it.
Yeah, so Chiana had it for the longest time. And I think she gave it to John when Rigel was getting caught because she thought that they would realize Rigel didn't have it, I guess. But then later on, we find out that they don't know of a way of testing for it, which means the virus should know that from its previous encounters with this peacekeeper crew, or you kind of expect it to know that.
It took over one of the crew guys, though, and presumably he knew.
Yeah, and Larac, the captain guy, said that he'd lost other men to it in the past, so presumably it had been in the crew before.
I can see why it would jump hosts to keep the plot moving and make that exciting, but I don't get it from a practical application.
They had conflicting timers, so they needed to find the person with the virus quickly. So they came up with this 1 hour timer, but that's way too easy. If Chiana had not switched, she definitely would have done the spores thing, which, by the way, is fungus or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
mushrooms. But yeah, she would have done the spores, and they all would have had the virus. apart from Rigel, who was in stasis. If the timer had been like 6 months or something, that would have made more sense. So they had to conflict that timer with the 20 hours it took to get to the Gamic base.
Right.
So they're racing against the clock on two fronts. But it doesn't really make that much sense.
I couldn't get past the timers, and that upsets the whole episode for me.
I have loads of other grievances, but I didn't really note that one down. I think it was silly, but I didn't care too much.
What did you care about?
Probably I thought the silliest thing was the glowing eyes to show who has the virus. I really don't think they should have done that.
It's really easy for us to know who has it. We see it transfer. The person's behavior changes. Yeah, I can see why that annoyed you.
Well, maybe it doesn't matter. I guess what I'm thinking is it's always the best when you're in the same position mentally, the same sort of headspace as the characters, which is why they do all these sort of things when they're dizzy. The camera is sort of fading in and out and wobbling, and when there's turbulence, the camera is shaking. Just all the simple things like that. So why show us who has the virus? Why make it so obvious? If you watch The Thing, which is basically what this is like,
Obviously, yeah.
the reason that film works as a horror film is because it's very hard to keep track of who is the thing. It makes it suspenseful, and it makes you doubt everyone.
You can't make the principal tension, oh, who has the virus, and then give us that information, and then expect us to still be invested. So the tension for us is, will they succeed, instead of the added tension of, oh, who is it? It could be anyone, which is way more interesting.
Aside from the slight personality adjustments, if they just cut out the glowing eyes and the kiss, I guess it's a kiss between Chiana and the Marine, and the bit where Chiana licks her thumb.
Yeah.
All of these little clues, if you get rid of them, it probably would be a bit stronger, I think. Especially when Zan looks back and sees Chiana and John looking sort of confused and sad. That could work perfectly well if they're just, mixed feelings about Rigel, or have they just transferred the virus, you don't know. But no, it's just made plainly obvious, so all that mystery was not actually a mystery. Do you want a more lateral grievance?
Sure.
So they have this stasis box with some alien creature in it.
Correct.
What do you notice about that stasis box?
I didn't really notice. It was unguarded, even though it was super important.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid. But military guys are stupid, they don't know what they're doing.
Fine.
This is more of a lateral thinking puzzle. So, say they'd caught Chiana with the virus.
Okay.
What would they then do?
Put her in the stasis.
And how would they do that?
Chop her up.
Yep, because the box is only 4 foot long. So, only Rigel could possibly have ever been put in stasis.
Well, if the plan worked perfectly, that tiny stasis tube is all they needed.
What was their plan exactly? We're going to go find an intelligent virus. Let's hope it infects someone of very short stature.
Yes, and then transport that tiny being.
So I took them 6 months to catch it. Kept
Yeah, they
infecting
had to
tall
wait.
people.
They had to wait until a short person was infected.
Or a child.
Oh,
Maybe they had other boxes in their ship. But it just struck me as a bit predetermined. When John smashed the stasis gun, it was very obviously a prop.
I don't even remember.
The barrel broke off. I bring this up because it's at least the second time, if not the third time, they've smashed a gun and it's just broken at all the weak parts, like it would if it were a prop. I guess they're sci-fi guns, so I don't know how they work. Maybe they don't work like real guns, in that the barrels aren't actually solid all the way down the gun.
They're made with deliberate weak points.
For easy smashing.
Yes. Because peacekeepers are prone to fits of rage, and to make it safer, they have the weapons fall apart easier.
They fall apart very easily.
It's for
and they
safety.
only had one stasis gun.
They smashed all the other ones.
They just broke them. Whoops. Here's another quiz for you. Where did they get the Peacekeeper Commando uniforms from?
They mentioned that.
They mentioned they kept them from a previous time. Do you remember where they were from?
No, but that one line was good enough for me. They said, "Oh, good thing those peacekeepers left those uniforms." I appreciate that it was even mentioned in some way, because being a pedantic nerd, as soon as I saw them in those suits, I thought, okay, where did they get those? I need this explained, even if it's a token explanation.
They pick them up in the episode Exodus from Genesis, where the bugs take over and the Peacekeeper Commandos come in and they crank up the heat. So they take their uniforms off and then they leave. Did they leave? Yeah, they leave. So they did have the uniforms from earlier.
See, that's great.
It's odd they remembered that.
Even if we didn't have an episode that explained it, I'm fine with how they framed it. But they did, so it's even better.
They are sticklers for details like that. So you have to pay attention and remember everything you've seen. I will be quizzing you about every other random trivia point like this in the future.
I'm surprised you haven't quizzed me about unit news.
I do have some unit news, but it's more like unit abuse.
Scandal.
Because they went back on something they did before.
Okay, I didn't notice that. I just noticed what I think is a new unit. Maybe they've said it before.
What was the new unit?
Microt?
It didn't have to time 500 microts in the previous episode.
You are probably right.
They first showed up in the Flax.
Okay.
They're not new, but good job looking out and learning about new alien units. That's what this podcast is now about.
Exclusively.
So, what I have written is that the Marauder was leaking cesium fuel.
Okay.
Cesium is an element. It's probably not one you want leaking about because it tends to explode a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot. Like, if you put it near water, it will just detonate and go on fire.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that's wonderful. They just let this ship on. But the thing is, that's a real element, and previously they've used an element named chlorium and an isotope twinium, both of which are fictional, but now they're real elements. Or when I say fictional, I mean like the alien names for the elements didn't translate.
Right.
Or maybe there's a different periodic table in that part of the universe somehow, or we don't know the reason, but the elements were different. Now they match Earth elements, or at least that one does. So that was deeply saddening. I was cast into a depressive rage. And then it got worse, as Zan said there were litmus fibers in her bedsheets.
Yeah.
Which is... Okay, first of all, that's extremely weird.
It's the only way Zan can get to sleep.
But, okay. Don't wet the bed?
She's Delvian. She would never dare to wet the bed.
Well, we don't know. Maybe her urine is pH neutral, so it wouldn't affect it. But anyway, so litmus is commonly, you might know it as litmus paper,
Yeah.
is a strip of paper that will react to acids and alkalines from show different colors. It's actually from lichen. Litmus is a form of lichen that reacts to acids, and there's another type that reacts to alkalines. They mix them together to make inks that are clear until exposed to one type or another. Although litmus paper is not a typical modern way of doing it, it's still very common. It's not particularly accurate, but it's a good, kids' first science set sort of thing.
Yeah, I remember messing with that stuff in high school in chemistry class.
Yeah, it's cool. So why? Okay, so I don't even know why that was in the bedsheets. That just seems weird. And it's a specific earth thing. She could have said, banjo fibers or something. Just
Yeah.
made up. It still wouldn't explain what that's doing in the bedsheets. Plus, there is a much easier way to test if Chiana is acidic, which is to taste her saliva. And which, yep, bit of bodily fluid diagnosis there.
That would be more fun to watch than Chiana licking a blanket.
Yeah, I guess. Well, she could just lick Zan's finger, and then Zan could lick her finger. They wouldn't need to smooch, if that's what you're suggesting.
No, they have to smooch.
Okay, well, fair enough. In fact, I'm surprised she didn't suggest that rather than the weird bedsheets thing. An example in medicine is that you can diagnose diabetes by tasting someone's urine, and if it's very sweet, they're probably diabetic.
Isn't that where the word comes from? It means sweet urine.
You're the language guy. You tell me.
I vaguely remember a biology teacher talking about this. There's a word that means sweet urine, and I'm guessing it's diabetes.
Diabetes, origin Greek, dibeninian. I'm not going to attempt to pretend that was a correct.
I'm sure you nailed it.
Yeah. Literally siphoned from diabinean in Greek. Mellitus is from Latin mellitus, meaning sweet. So siphon, sweet. Yeah, you're right. Or essentially right.
Cool. We know about urine.
It's just odd that her bedsheets were litmus fibers. That makes no sense, and I don't. It's weird that a medical practitioner such as Zan, who's at least better than a hobbyist, she's not a professional, but she knows a lot, would not think of simply tasting the saliva. I mean, I guess you could say maybe she'd get the virus.
Yeah,
but
there's that risk.
She suspected Chiana didn't have it. And if she did, then Zan was locked in a cell anyway.
Better safe than sorry.
She seems like the type who would offer her life to kill the virus and save millions of people.
But maybe she sees herself as being more valuable to the crew, staying clean and not affected.
Perhaps. Still, litmus bedsheets, really? I hope you don't sweat, or your bedsheets will be all stained.
I don't like all the human stuff coming in. I don't like that she talked about acidic levels and litmus fibers. I would prefer space stuff.
Well,
I mean,
acid is a universal thing. That's part of chemistry.
Yeah, but they can make up chemical. They've done it before.
I always thought that when they made up chlorium for IET, I think was the episode, that it was something from the periodic table or some simple compound. We just didn't know what it was because the translator microbe can't just go from proper noun to proper noun. There's not enough information content there.
So it's undiscovered in our context.
Yeah, which could explain why he now knows cesium. He could have found the periodic table, and now when they say the word for cesium, he hears it as cesium because that information exists in the translator microbes or whatever.
Right.
Still, that does not explain litmus fibers because litmus is not a generic way of measuring acids. It's just one specific way. There's actually dozens of ways, most of which are more specific or more accurate than litmus. I did think acid was a very easy tell.
Which makes it weird that they didn't have a test and Zan basically whipped up one instantly.
Which they never found out if it works.
Yeah.
As soon as the last guy, well, he ran away because he knew he was the virus and he didn't want to risk it, but they don't know. Maybe they inject him and he's like, well, I'm fine too. This doesn't work.
I thought that was actually clever when they said there's no test. Not because it makes it harder on them, but because this episode is obviously takes inspiration from The Thing, and when you think of The Thing, you think of the famous blood scene. And
The
so
Petri dish, yeah.
I thought, oh, are they not going to do the scene from The Thing? But then the alkaline injection scene is an equivalent.
They can't do the thing without doing the scene where everyone gets tested one by one until someone explodes.
Yeah, you have to do that. And I thought
Well, you could not do it, but why wouldn't you?
Yeah, if you're going to copy The Thing, you have to do that scene. I mean, it's the best scene.
That was also one of the only points in the episode where it wasn't clear who had the virus.
Which also elevates that scene.
Yeah.
I liked not knowing.
Yeah, it's like they realized, oh, hang on. We're doing the thing, so we need the testing scene. But if we keep telling them who has it, it's going to be absolutely unsuspenseful.
Oh, that would be such torture if we did know. And they went through
Testing
all of
one
that.
by one. Oh, it's not him either. What a surprise.
Maybe I shouldn't like this, but I like that the virus can appreciate irony. John says, stick with me, you'll be safer, something like that. And then Chiana, who is infected, smiles to herself.
The intelligent virus thing is a good example of having a good sci-fi idea that would absolutely fail to be explained, but can suitably be unexplained. How would this work? Is it just one virus, one cell?
It doesn't work.
It's one super brainy supercell the size of a golf ball. Yeah, it makes no sense. But that's fine because that actually never crossed my mind during the episode. I mean, yeah, okay, it's an intelligent virus, whatever. That's a cool setup, which they ran with reasonably well.
Yeah, reasonably.
It paid off. Aaron got stabbed.
That's true. Oh, again, with the slow-mo. This sticks out every time now.
When did they slow-mo?
I don't know, but I wrote it in my notes in caps.
They like slow-mo.
Either that or they keep running short and they need to extend by a couple seconds.
Oh, it's like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. A very funny show. Which, if you watch it, you will understand what I mean.
Okay, because I don't.
Well, yeah, to take that as a recommendation. Do you have a quote that you'd like to share?
Actually, I don't. Why don't you take a stab?
Well, I don't have a quote because I didn't know I was going to do one, but I have an opposite of a quote.
An anti-quote?
Yeah, I have an anti-quote. So, John says, cats and dogs living together.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. He's good on the popular film stuff. He's a bit of a pop culture fiend. So then the guy leaks cesium. He zooms off, and they use Moira's starburst to ignite it.
Mm-hmm.
Did this not strike you?
Oh, it didn't strike me.
Okay, so have you seen Die Hard 2?
Yes. Oh, the plane.
It's exactly the same. And he did not say yippee-ki-yay.
How could he resist?
Yeah, how could he resist? That's once in a lifetime. If that, like once in a billion lifetimes, do you ever get to kill the main bad guy by igniting the leaking fuel trail from an escaping vehicle? It's pretty much the coolest way to kill the main bad guy. That's why they put it at the end of Die Hard 2. They needed to make something that was their attempt at being better than Die Hard 1, so they must have brainstormed a long time to come up with that, because it is fantastically cool.
It is. I quite enjoyed it.
But John doesn't say yippee-ki-yay.
He also doesn't say the end part of that Ghostbusters quote, which is mass hysteria, which is really fun to tag on to cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. He missed the fun part.
Here's a quote for you.
Hit me.
Hope all you want. I was just stating a fact.
I don't remember that.
Might not be verbatim because I didn't write it down at the time. It's Dargo at the end when he says he will not be chained up again. And
Oh,
Stan
yeah.
says, I pray that's the case. He says, no, it's not. It's not going to happen. I like that. It seemed like he was definitely not going to be chained up again. Like, as in, he'd be prepared to even take his own life rather than do
Yeah.
it. Which is like kind of extreme, but well, he's been through some stuff, so
You can pray all you like. I was expressing a fact, not a hope.
there you go.
Now I will time travel just to say that quote, because that's a good one.
Okay. I mean, I'm going to edit this so I could cut it together, but then this conversation would make no sense.
Time traveling is way cooler than editing.
You know, this is a sci-fi show, right? There's
Yes.
probably going to be a time travel episode.
I would say odds are 100%.
Yeah.
That
You
is
have to defend that way cooler stance.
time traveling is irresistible to sci-fi.
We have to protect the future by saving the past. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not going to edit the quote in.
Right, because I have to time travel.
Yeah, you have to do it.
It's up to me.
And whilst you're traveling forwards in time, we could use that to move on to the next episode.
Okay,
Yeah. Let's get on that then.
I'm doing it.
Me too.
Hey, and surprisingly, so is Chiana. I can't believe she's still around.
What? You think she would have died or left?
Yeah, like every other guest.
She seems like she might be a criminal.
Oh, she was really clever, making the impression of the key instead of straight up stealing it, which I thought she was doing, which would be really stupid.
It would be a suicidal plan.
Yeah, he would notice.
Yeah, I think she might be a criminal. That didn't seem like the skills of an honest laborer.
Hey, she worked as a keysmith, and that was routine. You have to fall on someone, press a food bar into the key, get the impression. That's all standard.
Yeah, I think she's just sticking with them because she knows they're dodgy. Let's see if she leaves in the next episode.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.